Soul Train was something very special that just changed Black America for the better. And it's fun to go back and find old episodes and watch ones that I may remember as a kid or ones that I didn't see because I wasn't alive, and just vibe out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to day 24 of the BMM 30 series here on the Groove Line with your host, Chris Stevens. Hopefully you all are doing well this Tuesday. If this is your first time tuning in, the Groove Line is a music podcast where we're talking music from the past, present, and the future. And of course, June is Black Music Month, so the BMM 30 means for 30 days, I'll be dropping an episode about a song, a genre, an artist, a band, a producer, an album. You name it, we got it covered. Going off the beaten path a little bit today for Tuesday, something a little fun. It's been a couple of deep episodes, and there's still some deep episodes left before we end the month. But today I want to talk about something that just really came to mind when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to record before I, get to the episodes that I already have in the tuck. Now, of course, we talk about how representation matters in Black life and Black spaces, and of course, the earliest representation of that, seeing beautiful Black people on TV dancing, was Soul Train. And of course, Soul Train was founded by Don Cornelius. It was started off as a local show in Chicago, Illinois, but it went out to LA in 1971, and it became a highly syndicated smash hit in Black households across the country. And my house was no different. I didn't get to see Soul Train until I was probably about, I don't know, man, whatever age my mom and my sister and my grandma tried to sit me down in front of the TV to make me sit still, probably about 2 or 3. So most of these Soul Train theme songs I have heard live. Well, the second half of them I've heard live. The others, not so much. I had to go back and watch old Soul Train episodes back when Centric was a thing by BET. Man, I miss being able to watch old Soul Train episodes. Who do we have to talk to get all the old Soul Trains on stream somewhere? Somebody's got to have that, cachet to make that happen. I mean, just want to go back. I mean, there are some on this very platform. Don't tell nobody. But I would love for somebody to create a Soul Train streaming service where you could watch episodes from like 78, 79, 83, 85, 88, 87, 91, 71. Somebody, please. If there's anything else, I mean, we can stream so much of this other BS. Somebody's got to be able to find a way to stream the old Soul Train episodes. I don't know who's in charge. I don't know who has the trademark. I don't know who has the masters. Make it happen, y'all. That's all I'm saying. But today, since it is music, it's Black Music Month, we're on the Groove Line. We're going to rank the Soul Train theme songs from the classic era of Soul Train. That means from 1971 to 93-ish. Because I really wasn't a fan of the last decade plus of Soul Train. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, the Soul Train that, like I said, my family sat me down in front of the TV to try to get me to, stop running around. That's the Soul Train I remember. The Soul Train, when I got to about 6th or 7th grade, was just kind of like, eh. And then it lasted all the way until I was good and grown, but it just wasn't the same. But we're going to rank these Soul Train theme songs, so let's get to it. Number 8. I mean, the first one, it's not bad, but it's clear that Soul Train really had to find its footing going from a local studio show in Chicago to a nationally syndicated show in Los Angeles. And the original Soul Train theme song was a song called Hot Potato, done by the Rinky Dinks. It was written by a saxophonist named King Curtis. And then another group named the Rimshots came along and upgraded it, and it became the original Soul Train theme song. This one lasted from 1971 to 1973. And those early episodes are fun to watch if you take out the theme song, because you watch how Black people were really starting to get into their bag with clothing and afros and different things like that in the early part of the 70s. And you can still hear strains of 60s music in the early 70s. Like 70s music really doesn't start until 1973, 1974. But and this theme song is no exception. The original Hot Potatoes version was recorded in 1963. So this song has 8-year roots before Soul Train even hit the air, nationally. So just found that interesting. Number 7 is Soul Train 79. And this comes from a family of jazz musicians called the Waters. And they'll be heard from again in this countdown. This version, Soul Train 79, it goes from 1978 to the first half of the 1979-80 season of Soul Train, and it just feels kind of hokey. Like it was like disco for Schoolhouse Rock kids, which are probably the same kids, but it just felt kind of like hokey. It's so out of sight. It's like, not a fan. But the Waters, and by extension, Don Cornelius and Dick Griffey, who collaborate on the theme songs, redeemed themselves later on and down the line. Soul Train 75 is number 6, and that, of course, is the Soul Train Gang. As you can see, the gentleman to your far left, actually, wait a minute, is he to my left? Yeah, he's to my left. That's Gerald Brown. He is the original lead singer of Shalimar, and Jeffrey Daniel had one of the most hilarious unsung quotables ever when Gerald Brown felt like he wasn't getting a fair share of the money. He said, when Dick Griffey is ready to deal with me, he can give me a call. And Jeffrey said, he's been waiting on that call ever since. So I just found that to be pretty doggone funny. But yeah, Gerald Brown was in the original version of the Soul Train Gang. And then, of course, they had a hit with the Soul Train 75 theme song, and that spun off in the Shalimar and Uptown Festival and all of that. But this song only lasted a year because the Soul Train 76 is the most underrated theme song in the bunch, because this is when disco was really starting to hit, and they just found a way to make it disco-fied and funky at the same time without sacrificing any of the soul. So yeah, the Soul Train theme from 76 to 78 is one of my favorites in the series, but I don't think it's there are 4 that are ahead of it. Of course, the Soul Train that a lot of Gen Xers and Boomers started to fall in love with was this TSOP, The Sound of Philadelphia, which of course was done by MFSB and the lovely ladies that you see on your screen, the 3 Degrees. The 3 Degrees version is Let's Get It On. It's time to get down, because there's 2 versions of TSOP. The one that appears on the MFSB Love Is the Message album from 1973 does not feature the 3 Degrees, but the one that made it to Soul Train had the 3 Degrees singing on it. So yes, there's 2 different versions of the Sound of Philadelphia theme song, if you were ever wondering. Yes, it's still called the Sound of Philadelphia theme song, even though it was the Soul Train theme song. This went between 1973 and 1975. Number 3 on the list, Soul Trains Are Coming by O'Brien. Now, O'Brien is a very interesting case. This is a young man from North Carolina. Well, he's a good and grown adult now, but he was a 19, 20-something-year-old kid in 82 when Don Cornelius got him in the door at Capitol Records, and he's most known for a cover of Stevie Wonder's You and I, which I hated as a young adult. But as a mature music listener, I've come around and say, okay, it's not a bad Quiet Storm remake. And he has 2 of my favorite, when I talk about my electro Saturday morning playlist, when I go for runs on Saturday mornings, O'Brien has 2 songs on my playlist that I enjoy very much. I'm Freaky and Love Light. But yeah, he did the Soul Trains Are Coming theme from 1983 to 1987. And it just brought Soul Train into the 80s with the whole electro, boogie, post-disco vibe. And it just worked. It worked perfectly. And, you know, it's Saturday. And I don't know the words, but I just know it's Saturday. That was one of the first songs I remember hearing as a kid, you know, as the lead in to Soul Train. So that's number 3. Number 2, TSOP 87 by the late great George Duke. Oh my God, we do not talk about George Duke musicianship enough, man. Like, he's a whole episode unto himself. I'm probably gonna do a George Duke episode at some point. I don't know if it'll be this month, but a George Duke episode of On the Groove Line is absolutely coming. Brilliant jazz musician, songwriter, producer, musical director, you name it, George Duke could do it all. He died, unfortunately, of cancer in 2013, but he had a great run of albums with Stanley Clarke, his own group, and working with Zappa and all these other folks. So when Don Cornelius wanted to upgrade the theme song, it just made sense to have George Duke do it. And George Duke just made TSOP, The Sound of Philadelphia, for an 80s boom bap hip hop crowd. New Jack Swing was on the way, of course, in '87. So George Duke, of course, put them in line with that. But it's not the theme song that I feel like best represents Soul Train. Number one is Up on Soul Train. And of course, you see two groups on your screen if you're watching this on YouTube. The Waters at the top and the Whispers at the bottom. Why is that? Because there are two versions of Up on Soul Train. There's a version that goes from the spring of 1980 to the fall of 1980 that was done by the Waters family. It feels a little like a rough demo, but then when the Whispers got a hold of it and it went on their Imagination album that came out in January of '81, it had a little more refinement to it. And I mean, but the lyrics are still the same. It's party time, forget all your cares and woes. Get on the train and ride it wherever it goes. Soul Train, come on and shoot your shot. See, they was talking about shooting shots back in 1981. We're gonna have a good time. The big train is mighty hot. So yeah, this song ran from 80 to 83. They stopped using it when Soul Train went off the air for about 4 months after Don Cornelius had a brain tumor removed in early 1983. So by the time they came back later on in the spring, the O'Brien version, Soul Train's a Comin', had debuted. But yeah, I feel like this version of the Soul Train theme song was just right on time for Black musicians surviving disco demolition night and trying to make something out of nothing, because this is still very much a four on the floor, bassy, stringy horn type of feel, which typified disco, even though by 1983 disco was absolutely a dirty word. But it still lasted long enough to get Soul Train into the 80s. And then when O'Brien came along with Soul Train's a Comin', the train kept rolling. So let's go back and give you guys a quick rundown of the top 8 Soul Train theme songs, in my opinion. Number 8, Hot Potato, which ran from 71 to 73. Soul Train 79, which ran from 78 to first half of 79-80. Soul Train 75, which ran through the 75-76 season. Soul Train 76, which ran through 76 to 78. TSOP, Sound of Philadelphia, that went from 73 to 75. Soul Train's a Comin' from 83 to 87. TSOP 87, which went from 87 to 93 with a remix in 89. And Up on Soul Train from the second half of the 79-80 season through the first half of the 82-83 season. So these Soul Train theme songs, they all matter because they represent something to different eras and different genres of musicians and different groups of boomers and Gen Xers who saw Soul Train from the beginning to, I guess, the end, because Soul Train lasted 35 years. But that 71 to 93 run is just memorable for so many reasons, because so many Black artists got their start on Soul Train and got their publicity on Soul Train because they couldn't go on American Bandstand, Dance Party USA. Who remembers Dance Party USA on the USA Network? Anybody? Or is that just me? But yeah, Soul Train was where Black artists went to thrive. And Don Cornelius, unfortunately, he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in 2012. And hopefully wherever his spirit is, he knows that he created something that Black people, Black musicians, Black music fans, Black entrepreneurs can be proud of and continue to model after what Don Cornelius was able to build with Soul Train. And the theme songs, I mean, when you heard certain theme songs, like I imagine hearing MFSB in the early 70s and, for my generation, hearing, TSOP 87, it was like, yo, let's sit down in front of TV, see who's on Soul Train this week. And that's how a lot of Black America spent their Saturdays at lunchtime. And it was an undefeated vibe. And I don't know if we can ever have anything like that again, but maybe we can if we, think about how we want, our music to be heard, our music to be played, and, not just rely on, the internet all the time, even though the internet is omniscient. But yeah, I feel like, Soul Train was something very special that just changed Black America for the better. And it's fun to go back and find old episodes and watch ones that I may remember as a kid or ones that I didn't see because I wasn't alive, and just vibe out. Absolutely wonderful thing. And I actually recommend that you guys check out some of these old Soul Train episodes and intros. There's actually a Soul Train intro from 85 where instead of everybody just doing, their own dance or whatever, people used to be, dancing on the camera, doing whatever they wanted to do. But there's one in the fall of 85 where they do the electric slide as the entire Soul Train dance. It's like nobody is deviating from the electric slide. I highly recommend you find it. It's Soul Train intro ep 484. Soul Train intro episode 484. Go watch that one and just watch everybody black in 1985 with the latest fashions, doing the electric slide. It's a vibe. And it's a great, time. And that's going to do it for day 24 of the BMM 30 series here on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all for riding with me this week. Contact information will be in the description below. Don't forget to like and comment on the videos because we have great conversations in the comments. And the more likes and comments, the more eyes and ears can be on this channel. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you're notified of all the new content that drops on this channel. So thank you for riding with me on the Groove Line today until day 25 of the BMM 30 series. And the next time we ride, y'all be good or be good at it.